Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Saturday, where we do the real review of Avengers 4 Endgame. Is 4 even in the title? I think it's just
No.
Avengers Endgame.
It's just Avengers Endgame.
Because that makes sense.
It does, actually. You know, Endgame...
Just put numbers on it.
No. Endgame is better. No numbers. Only Endgame.
Oh, I think Infinity War is better. Anyway, putting the cart before the horse. So, ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not have seen the spoiler-free version. If you still haven't seen the movie, this is not the video for you.
Do not watch.
Go watch the other one on the channel. It's the one right below this that was posted on Thursday. Well, actually, I think it didn't actually go up till Friday morning. Because of processing times. But, since it's now officially been a couple days, we assume many of you have already seen the movie, and so we're going to analyze the film. So, where do we start is the question.
Well, let's start at the beginning, because a lot of the complaints that I've been hearing
The
is
very beginning.
the 1 hour of build-up. That whole beginning that people think is slow and, you know, I don't know. I enjoyed the beginning.
Where everyone eats tacos.
Well, I thought that was kind of cute. But anyways, that being said, what did you feel about the 1 hour build-up?
I mean, it gave you a lot of character exposure. And, like, the ones who were remaining, you got a chance to warm back up to them for a lot of different reasons, which, since you've seen the movie, right? Since you've seen the movie, it won't be a problem when I tell you, because they knew we were losing some people.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. So it was, I think that they really did give a dedicated amount of screen time to the people who, why am I speaking vaguely? They gave a lot more screen time to people like Tony. And maybe not even specifically just like a bunch of time on screen per se, so much as his character got a lot more attention. What he was doing in the interim between the snap and when they go back in time.
I mean, to be fair, I feel they had to give Iron Man all that screen time. Because of what happens in the end, which we're not talking about yet, but they have to give Iron Man that much screen time. And for me, I feel like it would have been weird, now thinking about it, even though I wanted a full action-packed movie, now that I think about it, yeah, it would feel weird to come back from Infinity War and to not process what happened in Infinity War. Not only do the characters need time to process the snap, the loss of half the universe, so do we as the audience. That's why I really enjoyed that. We need to process, we need to realize what happened in the aftermath of all of that. And sometimes, because failure just, you know, it's one of those movies that tells you that failure isn't the last thing that happens. After you fail, there's a new day. You have to continue and move on and do something to prevail at the end of the day.
You get a little bit of that from Captain America too, which we know his character, Steve Rogers as a character is doomed at this point. So you see that like right off the bat. Well, more or less right off the bat. Once they do the time skip to 5 years. I thought it was interesting that, and maybe that's what you're getting at. If anything, and maybe this is what people are thinking about when they're complaining about how long it took. One of the reasons why like 2 of the pee breaks take place in and around Ant-Man is because Ant-Man is not one of those characters who seems like he's going away, but he gets an interesting amount of screen time, all things considered. Now, the reason for that is because he has to get caught up on everything that happened.
Oh, yeah, because for him, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Is a whole 5 years in our world, and so much has happened, he's not even aware of the snap.
And I think that maybe, like, originally that was just what I was thinking about. Oh, well, people are complaining because, you know, Ant-Man's getting all this time and he doesn't really need it as a character. But, given what you're talking about, maybe that's why they put it in there. It's the vehicle through which we can process our feelings about what happened, because Ant-Man's the only character who hasn't been caught up. So if they used anyone else for that, well, it wouldn't necessarily make as much sense. Maybe there was no other character on there who really would have needed screen time, so use the character that needs to actually just canonically catch up.
And I think he's also the vehicle...
So we'll give them a pass.
I think he's also the vehicle for hope, is the other problem.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's the vehicle for hope, because while everybody else has accepted the snap, moved on, and has gone on with their lives, Ant-Man, it literally happened while he was gone. He doesn't understand what happened. And then he's the one who goes, you know what? We can use the quantum realm. Because it's like, I obviously was in this quantum realm for 5 minutes. What happened to you guys was 5 years. Why don't we use this technology to find a way to fix this? And he's the one who brings back the hope to the entire Avengers team. Without him, like, would we be able to have that hope of being able to fix the failure?
I want to rewind just a little bit and talk about something that made perfect sense to me going into the movie and seeing it, but after I got out of the movie, I was thinking about it and I was like, I almost wish this had gone down a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I know why they did it, but part of me really wishes that there was something else there. I think it will tie into Thanos as a character later on. I thought it, after the fact, I kind of wish they didn't kill Thanos right off the bat like that. I know exactly why it happened. I know why Thor swung his axe, and I know that is also kind of an intricate part of his character going forward.
Yeah.
But another part of me was like, I don't know. Like, it almost sucked a little bit more because it felt like he won more. And there was also another part of me that's like, keeping with the way that they've portrayed Thanos through Infinity War, where we get the kind of the most exposure to him and his motivations. I almost felt like there could have been another like subtle aspect to the film if they had kept him alive, whether that is in jail in the headquarters or what.
See, but I think it's the fact that it's central to Thor's line of his character arc that Thanos had to die. Because for me, that whole, I aimed for the head, like you said, it's not a victory for the Avengers. It's still more of a victory for Thanos because there is this hatred that they can't even fix it with the stones he destroyed. He destroyed the stones. There's nothing left. They can't fix it now. And you see that in Thor's continuing storyline where you see him suffering through PTSD in a very different way than Jessica Jones, in a very different way than Tony did. He eats his feelings. He becomes a drunkard. He just doesn't care anymore because despite killing Thanos, the only thing he's been doing to try to fend off all of his tragic loss, it doesn't help him in the end. There is no sense of accomplishment. There is no sense of revenge left for him. So he has all this anger, all this emotion, and nothing to do with it anymore.
Maybe part of me was kind of like half hoping. I'll say it half hoping for some kind of redemption arc. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. And like I said, I guess we'll have to wait to talk about it a little more till we get to the end of the movie. But it was like,
I think
it's amazing how decisively... It's subtle, but a very decisive shift in Thanos' character in my mind when he finds out what happens in that one future and then starts taking different decisive action.
Well, remember, this Thanos destroyed the stones because he was afraid of the temptation of the stones.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost like he says that, and then we see his past self go to more extreme measures to get his destiny done.
Which seems so weird.
No, it doesn't seem weird to me at all because it seems to me exactly what he knew. He knew himself so well that he predicted what his old self would do if handed the stones again with the knowledge that he already had. He would go more extreme.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'll rephrase because I thought you were then talking about... God, we're going to have to just start calling them old Thanos and...
New Thanos.
Or maybe pre-Infinity War Thanos. I don't know. Okay, so we were talking about post-Infinity War Thanos.
Right.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about post. The fact that he destroyed the stones so brilliantly predicts what this new Thanos does. In the fact that he's more extreme with his decision.
I wonder if there's something even more subtle at work there. I mean, maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but it's just occurred to me that there's things that we're not taking into account when it comes to pre-Infinity War Thanos coming to the future. he has not had to go through what it took to get it done in the first place.
Right.
And maybe that's the only thing that would even put it in his... Like, it seems like, oh, he's in the whole resolution of his destiny kind of thing. But I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't think post-Infinity War Thanos would have even thought the same way.
No.
Because it wasn't even an issue of will. It wasn't the person. It was like, look at the level of personal sacrifice that he had to go through to get it done in the first place.
Right. The fact that he killed off Gamora, this pre-Infinity War Thanos never had to go through the loss of losing Gamora. And despite what you may feel about Thanos, he really loved Gamora. So that sacrifice, you can tell, is like...
I think we've hit on something really big here, actually. Because think about it for a second. That Thanos, the pre-Infinity War Thanos, has all the stones at the end of the movie.
Yep.
And never had to give it up anything for it.
Exactly. He didn't have to sacrifice a thing for it. Not even Nebula, not Gamora, not anything. So of course his actions would have felt more extreme because he never had to suffer through the losses that Thanos did to get those stones.
Maybe there is. Well, I'm just going to throw it out there and maybe even be on the verge of being the devil's advocate here. It's like maybe there is a partial redemption for Thanos in the post-Infinity War period. Like, stepping aside from the genocide for just 1 second, just bear with me. Bear with me. No matter what, and obviously, the horribleness of it aside, at the end of the day, if you were to put it in terms of how people view themselves with love, if Gamora is the only person you ever loved, when we like to think of love, we like to describe love, and it's like it's another part of yourself. So if you were to put it in those terms, Thanos also lost half of himself to get it done.
This is why I love Thanos as a character. They made him
so complex. I like this Thanos.
The post-Infinity War Thanos.
Well, just in general, I mean, like in a previous video, several times I think I've talked to you about how with my limited experience in the comic books. That being said, I don't think MCU Thanos is the same as comic book Thanos.
No,
because and one of the things I was so worried about coming into Endgame was that they were going to try to shoehorn something in here to make him lose. Because as far as I was concerned, whatever the directors might say outside of the movie itself, by the way the narrative was structured, Thanos lacks the arrogance that brought down comic book Thanos versions. Like, the other times he's defeated, it's because he leaves his body to transcend to godhood, true godhood. Or because they trick him into only using one stone at a time. That doesn't happen in the MCU, and it didn't happen in Endgame. It was a completely different take on things. But it's funny, because now that I'm thinking about it, in Endgame, they do kind of hit on his arrogance and hubris.
Yep. I don't know. This is why I enjoy it. It's one of those movies, I swear, one rewatch is not enough. It's something that you're going to have to keep rewatching just to pick up on all the subtle hints and cues and everything that happens. Because a lot of characters get this really beautiful bookend endings. Like Scarlett Johansson's character is one of the perfect bookends, too, I feel. That Hawkeye saves her because he was sent to kill her. Saves her, and then she's the one who ends up sacrificing herself so that Hawkeye can go back to his family. So it's a perfect bookend for her. It's a perfect bookend for Tony.
By the way, I knew exactly what was going to happen the moment I was like, they're going back for the stones. I was like, they have to get the Soul Stone.
Yep. I was hoping.
I'm not sure what level of I wasn't. You know what? That was the one thing I was unsure about. Like, I kind of figured it out, but when the scene came up and they were actually doing it, I was like, I wasn't sure what they were trying to imply about them, if anything. I just assumed that it was they were like the last people from their past that they knew anymore. So I mean, Hawkeye had lost everything else, so of course that was she was the only other person he loved.
I think that's I don't know if that's what because love takes many forms, and I think this was the strongest friendship bond that they had post snap.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can say whatever you want about Black Widow and Captain America being really good friends, but her best friend was always Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Even when he turned into Ronin and killed all these criminals, she still loved him. She still loved him platonically. And at the end of the day...
See, that's the part I wasn't sure about. I was like...
No, it's platonic love.
Did they, have a thing and then we're just like, Black Widow has her thing where she's like, yeah, I'm not really into the whole relationship issue. Then, until she, has that thing with the Hulk briefly.
Which, I mean, seemed really briefly. Really
yeah,
briefly.
that came and went. I feel bad about. I don't know how I feel about that. It just kind of came up as if it was kind of random. I almost felt it was like a throwaway. I felt bad about that.
My problem is, I feel like they could have concluded it somehow in this movie. At least now that we have Banner as the Hulk and he's not fighting himself anymore.
Yeah, it just felt like a loose thread.
And I'm like, so when they find out that Natasha's dead. And he goes, where's Natasha? I was expecting, I don't know, more emotion. Like, does he still love her? Was this a one-sided thing? It's very confusing.
I definitely got the impression that, he was in regret, regret mode. I'm not disputing that. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he was clearly mostly over it.
Yeah.
It's like that residual thing that you never lose feelings for people. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the ones I'm just going to feel mixed about across the entire spectrum, not necessarily this movie in particular. I always kind of felt like that little romance thing they tried to pull for them just felt like a needless throwaway.
For me, I actually enjoyed the romance, which is why I kind of at least wanted a conclusion. But maybe the romance...
I didn't say it didn't have potential. I said it was a throwaway. And clearly I was right.
Well, no. The problem is I know a lot of the fans disliked the romance. They felt it came out of nowhere, whereas... I feel like the minority of people like me actually enjoyed it, and I think they just didn't want to address it again, so they just kind of threw it away. Even though I felt like they could have at least concluded or said something, like one sentence. That's all I need. All I need to conclude why they didn't work. Of course, he did end up going to space for years on end.
Yeah,
so that could
tell me about it.
That could destroy a relationship pretty quick. How did you feel about Professor Hulk?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was an interesting way to cover a lot of ground for him psychologically without having to give him more screen time.
I thought so.
Because 5 years after the snap, that's the level of zen he's accomplished. It's like he has found ways to move forward. With Captain America, it's like he's in there trying to fix the world still. That's his way of being an Avenger. Mm-hmm. Hulk is resolving his past issue of, my problem has always been the dichotomy. I stopped fighting the dichotomy, and I fixed the problem. Mm-hmm.
I think that was also foreshadowed in Infinity War.
Tony can't fix his personal problems. He stops fighting. He stops fighting the fight.
Yep.
And fixes his personal problems. So I think it's a lot of people are getting over things. The people who don't get over things are people like Hawkeye is Ronin.
Hawkeye is Ronin. Ronin is obviously
Black Widow immerses herself in what's left of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. It's implied, I assume, that I can never remember exactly how to pronounce her name. The general from Wakanda, I'm assuming, is leading Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
Based on how that was going. And of course Captain Marvel, which I'm glad they did a nod to that, because if they hadn't, I would have been like, well,
what was the point of Captain Marvel?
Yeah, well, no, everyone got completely screwed by the snap, so it makes sense that Captain Marvel, being more space oriented, would just hop off and go do stuff.
Oh, yeah, and I know that people had a lot of problem with the fact that she was only in the movie for 15 minutes after having her own movie right before Endgame.
It really makes sense, though.
It does, but also, I don't feel Marvel planned this very well, especially because she filmed all of her Endgame stuff before she even filmed Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So she didn't even get a chance as an actor to really sink her teeth into the role before she had to do Endgame.
Yeah,
scenes.
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Everybody else, and the problem is it's so glaringly obvious because everybody else has had a decade to sink their teeth into the role to grow with the character, whereas she only had this movie because she didn't even get her own movie before filming those scenes.
But and now we mentioned this when we talked about what we were expecting with Endgame, though, and that is that this movie was always going to be more about established characters who we were going to see less of or none of in the future. That's why it's like, oh yeah, I mean, you could almost predict who was going to get snapped away because they had to get everyone new out of the way so that the old characters could have the screen time. And then we lost a bunch of characters, which is exactly what we expected.
Yep.
Everyone came back for that last hurrah. Though I guess they've kind of implied that Thor might be sticking around, which would be cool. I think out of the original set, if you will, he's the one who has the greatest potential to move forward at this point.
Well, I think it's because his character has grown since Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
His character development has gone through the roof, whereas I feel like Black Widow has really kind of...
Well, she capped out.
Yeah.
She was done.
She tapped out, and there's no way you could have continued the Iron Man saga better than the way that they finished him off for Endgame.
This is the spoiler version. He died.
Well, yeah.
You know what? I can't wait anymore to talk about this. Let's talk about some of the things that ticked me off. First of all, why the hell is it that at this point, Black Widow and Hawkeye aren't in Iron Man costumes? They are completely useless on their own. Yeah, but an Iron Man suit would have been really helpful during Capture the Flag there, Hawkeye. Why can't you do... Oh, Tony's gonna hook up his wife. He's gonna build 60 freaking semi-autonomous robots, but he can't come up with some suits for his friends. Way to go, Tony.
To be fair, though, Ronan does a pretty good job of handling himself without getting hurt.
I mean, that's fine, but think about how much more he could have done if he had a suit on. Like, poor War Machine, the moment he gets out of that suit, he's freaking useless.
Oh, yeah,
He gets saved by Ant-Man. We don't see him at all after he gets out of the suit.
Well, to be fair, though, Hulk couldn't really do anything either because he only had one arm.
Yeah.
He only had one arm, and he was using that to keep them, afloat. Now, did we really see Rocket after that part?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, yeah, he was with Groot. Yeah, he was with Groot. I thought that was sweet. That's.
I'm surprised Groot didn't get just a tiny bit more combat screen time, but I guess they were compressed in that battle scene. Let me tell you, I was surprised some people got as much time as they did.
I mean, it literally felt like Lord of the Rings meets Marvel.
We got that new Winterfell battle coming up in Game of Thrones. Speaking of which,
oh my God! It just as soon as you thought, oh my God, they're dead. Here comes all of Thanos' armies, and then you see all the Doctor Strange.
Which, by the way, Thanos, thanks for waiting.
Waiting just enough time.
Oh, caught monologuing. You had to pull that one right at the end, didn't you, MCU? Jesus.
They had to have some superhero cliches.
Jeez. I'm not into... I forget if we mentioned this in depth in the previous spoiler-free version. I don't know where those Asgardians came from. I still don't. I have no idea.
Because, actually, I figured it out. In Infinity War, right before they go through the torn ship, you see one ship flying away. Thanos only ever kills off one half of any species he's conquered.
Well, yeah,
so those Asgardians are just the people that he said, go ahead, you're free now, leave.
Well, no, I figured that part out. I wondered where the Asgardian warriors came from, since they were basically extinct during Ragnarok. There weren't any soldiers left.
It's probably just the half that was left, ready to suit up and go.
That was the other thing I was thinking about, too, because it's like, oh yeah, Thanos snaps away half of the creation. average 50% across the world. Okay, what about the planets you already purged? Like,
I assume that's in his calculations.
Groot's like the only one of his kind.
Well,
actually, maybe he's not. Maybe that's why he got removed. I didn't think about that. I mean, I assume that's why Rocket survived.
I mean, well, yeah, Rocket is literally the only
50% rounds up.
No, I actually don't know if in this one Groot's kind is extinct or not. I know that is a common backstory for Groot, but I don't know if that's in the MCU. Because they didn't really give him that backstory yet. Not that I remember.
Oh, well.
No, okay. If we're talking about problems that ticked us off.
Oh, one more before you go into this. This was the first thing that just stuck out to me. And I don't know why I harped on this, but it pissed me off really badly. Tony Stark, billionaire genius playboy.
Yes.
Why the hell is he wiping the dish to dry it before sticking it in the drip pan? Who does that?
People do.
Why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? The whole point is to let it drip dry.
Is that literally your complaint? That's your complaint.
It stuck out of me for a full 2 minutes. I was taken out of the movie because it's just like, no one does that.
That's what took you out of the movie?
No one does that.
Okay, moving on to more serious...
If you are someone who dries your dishes before putting them in the draining pan, you are stupid. Dry them afterward. Never mind.
Now that we've gotten over Panda's clear...
I have a lot of other things to say, but go ahead.
No, we're gonna go into... This is something I both hate and love at the same time. Okay? For multiple reasons. I love the fact that Cap stays in the past to be with Peggy. Because... But... That being said... How the hell does that affect the timelines? This is what happened.
You literally said that couldn't happen! This isn't even an after credits like Deadpool scene. No. It's in the movie!
Good job.
It's in the movie. So I don't know, guys. I have no idea how that works.
It just, there's so many...
Thanks for giving us pure fan service, I guess.
I mean, my issue is, does that mean there's 3 Captain Americas running around?
Hard to say. I did give it some ponder after my initial, ragey reaction. I was like, is there any way that this could work out and I'm just not thinking about it? Well, I did think about this, actually. Well, no. My first problem was, now, someone correct me. Feel free to if you want. Mm-hmm. My impression from the MCU was that he was basically immortal.
Oh.
So he probably shouldn't have aged in the first place.
Well, I think there's precedent for Cap to be old.
Yeah.
It could also be that the serum doesn't make him immortal, but it just slows his aging down to extreme proportions. Like, for instance, in the year 2023, he should actually be 110, 103 or something. I don't know. The math is he's in his hundreds by this point. So...
When was he born officially? I know he's old enough to enlist, obviously, in World War II. Well, it's not important.
No, but...
Oh, yeah, and it would be, I guess, 2023.
Yeah.
Which is even in our future. By which point, if he was born in... Well, let's see. I don't even remember what year... I can't remember what year it takes. Well, it had to be by the end of 1945.
You're the historian.
I don't remember what year he says he's born in the first Avenger. I don't. World War II breaks out. They're enlisting, so I guess it's 43, maybe 43, 44. Well, we enter in 42. But, it's the war in Europe. He's in Europe after he gets his serum. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say it has to be 44, 45. Probably 44 when he enlists. So this is guesswork.
18,
Don't critique me on this. I'm guessing here. So 44, if he was, let's say, 18 at 44, then that means he was born in 19... Why can I not do math all of a sudden? 1926. So he'd be pretty close to 100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So clearly, if this serum doesn't make him immortal, it just makes him age extremely slow. Because he doesn't look even though he looks old, he still doesn't look like 100 and whatever he is.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what happened, is he just aged really, really slowly. I don't think the serum was ever supposed to make him immortal.
Yeah. I mean, like, the continuity just doesn't work. They didn't even go back to a point where they could have, like, affected his choice to stick around.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just...
At least I don't think so.
No, he took the choice. Because, he had to, like... Didn't he have to jump himself, like, several times?
Oh, that's true. To put them back where they were taken from.
At least to get the timelines somewhat the same.
Yeah.
So then he probably just decided to make the jump one more time to right before he crashed the plane, or right after. Yeah,
I guess Hulk actually kind of says that. He's like, he missed his time loop or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess that part is explained per se, but like at the same time, like, okay, what I was getting at was I thought perhaps he might have affected something to make that Cap stay. But that still wouldn't.
No, see, a lot of things don't make sense to me in that one. I mean, is it an alternate universe? So did he then time jump? But he couldn't have time jumped to that place because he would have shown up in the machine. So
it doesn't make sense at all. It really doesn't. Because if it was the way they said, then the moment that they took the stones out of the previous path before Nebula did anything, guess what? Everyone would have come back automatically.
No, okay, so here's my other problem. Is now that the stones are out of this timeline and back where they belong.
Yeah.
Remember that the Ancient One said that a timeline without stones can no longer defend themselves against other...
Yeah, like celestial forces,
Celestial forces, like Dormammu.
Dormammu.
Does that mean this timeline is screwed?
I mean, it could be.
Because they don't...
Oh, you know what?
Thanos destroyed the stones.
You know
they
what?
put it back in the original timeline.
Yeah, you raise a very valid point, because now that you mention it, maybe... here, this is a good time to bring this up. So this is the other part that kind of ticked me off as far as loose threads. In my mind, when Hulk goes and talks to the Ancient One, and Ancient One says something to the effect of, someone that would be, he would make a mistake, or maybe I made a mistake.
Oh yeah, the Ancient One.
And I was like, I am pretty sure that either you copped out here with some weird dialogue, or there was meant to be something more to that.
Like, it felt like there was a deleted scene. Because
it felt like that was supposed to be something maybe at the end. Like, maybe if Cap gave the stone back to her, she could have dropped some extra hints.
Right. But, I was doing more thinking, because you brought this up, like, right after we watched the movie?
Yeah.
And I was doing some thinking with Streak, and I was going back and forth, and then I realized something. Because, like, one of my original theories was that maybe she foresaw something, because she's supposed to have foreseen all these tragic events. And then I realized, oh wait, she can't see anything past her death. So she wouldn't have been able to see what Stephen Strange would have done in his future.
Can you not see past your death? That doesn't make sense either.
She says that in Doctor Strange, that she can't see anything past her death.
Then how can Doctor Strange
be the best
his death? Yeah, didn't think of that, can you?
She's the one who says, I can never see anything past this moment, and it's right before she dies.
So how did Doctor Strange view 14 million versions of them losing?
Well, now, and my other problem is, how does she know Doctor Strange is supposed to be the best of them?
That's a really good question, isn't it?
If she can't see past her own death. So, a lot of the theories that I had were shot down because she does say she can't see past her death. And I'm like, so how does she know anything other than the fact
Unless she meant like she can't see her... No, there's no way I can frame that it would still work.
No, the exact words is, I always try to look past this moment, but I can never look past this moment of her staring out in the stars next to Stephen Strange. So she knows of Stephen Strange because obviously she trains him.
Yeah.
But she can't see past right before the moment she dies. And she says, and look at me, I'm trying to prolong this moment as long as I possibly can. But she said she's told him directly she can't see anything past her own death. So unless Stephen Strange found the loophole, and maybe that's what she meant by he's supposed to be the best of them?
Maybe. I have no idea. Maybe it's something that will get brought up in the last movie of Phase 3. Which I don't know if it's going to be included in the Infinity Saga set because it's after. So
that's
unless
the part
there's another,
confuses me. Yeah.
Unless there's another part to this, which might be it, because I mean we don't know who this new. I mean I don't know who he is. The first glance I got of this in-betweener villain guy, I thought he might be Stranger, because he seemed like he might be maybe bad, maybe good, ambiguous character.
My other problem with Spider-Man Far From Home is everyone who wasn't snapped is now 5 years older. So how does Peter Parker still have half his classmates still in?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'll work something out where it's like there are non-important people who aged out already. But it's like, oh, that's an interesting coincidence. All the important people in his social circle got snapped. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
There's a lot of, as much as I love this movie, there's a lot of little things that leave plot holes behind. Like, for instance, now what happens to Loki? Who's run up with the Tesseract.
You heard, we got into the theater, it was like, so is no one going to talk about the guy running off with the Tesseract? But Streak had a good thought on that. Streak proposed, I think it was Streak, right?
Yeah, it was Streak.
Proposed that might actually be the basis of the Loki spinoff. Which, honestly, is probably exactly what it's going to be. Because Loki's literally dead in this timeline.
Yep.
That was confirmed by the director. So, if Loki has the Tesseract and he's kind of learned his lesson...
No.
No.
By that point, he hasn't learned his lesson.
Well, don't forget. Well, there were two things here. Now, one of them I don't entirely buy, but it is allegedly canonical because the director said so. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is, this is post-defeat, and the Loki of Thor: The Dark World has already had some changes in his mind.
That wasn't Loki from Thor: The Dark World.
No, I'm saying that, but that Loki at the end of the movie is going to be that Loki who's imprisoned, is what I'm saying.
Eventually. And
two, according to the people who make the movie, Loki was under mind control during the Avengers.
Right.
So, if he was never truly malicious per se, just susceptible to whatever, then maybe it's going to be more about he's going to be a chaotic good or chaotic neutral kind of guy.
Discord? Q? We're going to have another one of those?
Could be. Got Tesseract.
Well, that being said, they're also planning a Scarlet Witch and Vision miniseries, and I didn't see Vision come back, and Vision had the Soul Stone, so...
I was wondering, see, that was the thing, I was thinking about that, I was like, why is Vision not in the battle? And then I was like, oh wait, no, he literally got ripped out of his head. So he was dead.
Yeah.
Streak suggested that what might be happening there, and it's probably the only explanation that will work, because there's no alternate timeline changes.
Not like Gamora.
Well, yeah, like that Gamora just stayed in the future, which is like, oh, okay.
Well, I don't think she did stay in the future. Because...
you know what? I don't know if she did.
No, she didn't. Because when you see Peter and Thor, talking, and they're in front of that screen, he's looking for Gamora. He's searching for Gamora.
Oh, well, then no, she definitely stayed in the future. They didn't send her back.
No, I think he's looking for the alternate timeline Gamora
who didn't
die for the stone.
Who's in the future?
I don't think she's in the future.
I don't think she ever went back. You're forgetting.
It's unclear.
It's
at best.
Well, I mean, strictly speaking, it's ambiguous, but they literally make no mention of doing any other time travel until they rebuild the machine to send Cap back.
Another thing that had me very confused is what happens to Nebula. She kills her old self.
That's true. So
is that alternate timeline?
So
Nebula?
new Nebula. Well, old Nebula and old Gamora are running around in the future.
You mean pre-Infinity War
yes.
Gamora?
That's right. I did say we were going to say that.
Post-Infinity War.
Yes.
Nebula.
Post-war Nebula.
and pre-war
Gamora are running around in the current timeline. And will probably be the focus of the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
It gets really confusing.
Yeah, I suspect they ran off the moment the battle was over.
Yeah,
and they didn't have time. There was no working time machine.
Because I don't think Tony would have snapped.
And why the fuck would they want to go back? Like,
yeah, at this point they already know that things go down. So, but does that screw up the timeline? Because they had to put the stones back. So now
that's why it doesn't make sense, because there is no Thanos to do the thing.
There is no Gamora to do the thing.
Ugh. And honestly, you know what? Here we go. Here's the part where this would have made perfect sense. They could have taken post-war Thanos and sent him back to make sure everything stayed on track. A humbled and sensible Thanos.
See, this is what happens when you mess with time travel. As much as I love...
I like how they complain about it in the movies. It's like, none of that's how that works.
I love that they complain about it. I love everything about this movie, but this is the problem with time travel, is now you've opened up so many things at the same time, and like...
Really wobbly timeline stuff.
For me, it's like, are they alternate timelines, or have you screwed up the timeline? You didn't fix these little tiny endings here.
Here's the thing: we do know. Okay, well, actually, no, we know 3 things. Funnily enough, and then we're going to stop talking about the time travel problems, which I'm really angry about, and I will probably never stop being angry about it. But we know 2 things from MCU itself. We know that Loki and Peggy Carter series are not part of the standard MCU timeline.
Right.
Which means that's because Cap went back in the main timeline. Mm-hmm. And for some reason it works. Which is stupid.
I mean...
But that means Peggy Carter series is going to be based off of an alternate timeline regardless.
To be fair, we never knew who Peggy married. Because she never mentioned it. And all she said was that Cap saved him.
Yeah.
That's all we know about the person Peggy married. So maybe she's been covering up this whole time.
Yeah, but isn't that person dead at this point? Like, I forget if that's covered. I mean,
think it's covered.
You can argue that that's a way for them to smooth it over, but it still doesn't make any sense because of the way time works. Like, I don't care if it was referenced in an earlier one. For all I care, like, never mind. I'm gonna... Loki is an alternate timeline. And third thing, and this only matters if the partnership thing with Spider-Man keeps going. They've already played with broken timelines in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, they did.
And there is the potentiality that could be played with as well for MCU going forward.
In fact, I think it was Streak who mentioned that possibly Phase 4, since we don't know if this timeline still has the stones. Phase 4 could be all about how they need the stones back to defeat a cosmic force, and they are trying to remake them.
True. That could possibly be it. Maybe Thanos will show back up again. He's a good guy in one of the continuities.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wait! Yes, he is, because then they fight Galactus!
Wait. What if they have to go back and prevent Thor from killing pre-Infinity War?
Listen, Thor. I'm sad for you, and I'm gonna let you finish, but we need to borrow him. We'll, literally bring him back in 5 seconds. But no, I was thinking about that because a lot of people are talking about, okay, well, I mean, where can you possibly go after this? And really, the only thing that's bigger than Thanos is Galactus. And unless I'm really misremembering here, because again, I don't read a lot of comics, but there is one where Thanos fights Galactus.
Yeah. Well, there's always a bunch of comics where good guys end up being bad.
I'd be okay with Thanos coming back. Thanos is definitely my favorite antagonist in the entire series.
Oh my god, I love Thanos.
Okay, so we've talked enough about time travel. Yeah, let's finally get to the end here. Oh my goodness.
There's so much to unpack.
Well, the battle itself. So I thought it was really cool that they managed to work in something that we kind of got, but not really. Obviously, they like de-armored Thanos. Like they were slightly embarrassed about the armor or something because it's like, yeah, he fights Hulk and then there's no more armor.
Nope, it's done.
Just
done.
like with Cap's hat. But no, we actually get to see him in basically full battle mode, which is not really what we got in Infinity War. It was all about the stones.
Oh yeah.
This was, you could see just how powerful standalone Thanos is.
Without the stones.
Yeah, and if anything, I mean, I know that allegedly they've been all about how it's like, oh yeah, Captain Marvel's the most powerful character in the universe, and it's like, I still don't really agree with that. Like, there's not a whole lot that's been demonstrated to prove that she's more powerful than any particular Thanos. I mean, yeah, she gets that upper hand on him very briefly before, yeah, he uses a stone to do it, but it's like, I'm not entirely confident that she could have hurt him.
Well,
and that's really what it comes down to.
I mean, I think Cap took more of a beating than she did, and I think it's just
but that should happen because Captain's still a human. He's just the best human. It's like he's the Krillin of the MCU. Maybe that's not the best comparison.
No, that is not the best comparison.
Well, no. People give Krillin a lot of shit. Krillin is the most powerful human. He's actually pretty decent. He's definitely not Yamcha. Who's Yamcha? War Machine is Yamcha.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Oh my god.
Stop. So, what I was gonna say...
He also ended up in a crater.
From what I understand, everybody...
I never thought about this until this moment.
I was going to move on.
Go ahead.
Our theater exploded in cheers when he picked up Mjolnir.
Yeah, I was like, there were a couple different times I wanted to shout something out during that movie, but that was the only time where it's like, oh, everyone's feeling this.
From what I understand, that wasn't just our theater. That was across multiple theaters. That is the biggest...
It's been hinted at for a while. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I love the fact that Thor went, I knew it! And it's like, so did we. We knew he could pick that up. And I don't know. That was such a good moment. And I'm really glad that since they're taking Cap out of... Well, they're taking Chris Evans' Captain America out of the timeline. That we at least got to see one time where he picked up Mjolnir.
Yeah. And we briefly discussed this, but for the benefit of the video, obviously something has changed for Captain America as a character because he couldn't pick it up before. He shifted it, but he couldn't pick it up. So, if you have a theory about where what will we call it, the tipping point? The apex of his character development that allowed him to pick up Mjolnir, when was that? Now, in fairness, we didn't have access to Mjolnir at all once it was destroyed.
Right.
And Cap hasn't been in proximity to it in a way that he could have used it for a while. But what has changed for Cap since his initial attempt in Avengers 2 to pick up the hammer?
For me, I can already tell you what my theory is. It's fairly easy. So, we saw that he could just barely move it, and I think this was the
Avengers
Ultron.
2, yeah.
It was Ultron.
I keep saying, okay, yeah, I get it. There aren't numbers. Avengers Age of Ultron.
And for me, that comes before in the timeline of Civil War, right?
Yes.
So, because that comes before, he needed to go on this emotional growth where he fractured the bond with Tony, fractured part of the Avengers, went off and discovered himself and fought for good, not for the good of just one or the Avengers, the good of all. And then in this movie, he brings everybody back. He finds himself finally. He gets to the point, because his character arc has finally reached full peak here. And he's not just fighting for Earth. He's not just fighting for America. He's fighting for the entire universe. And in order to do that, he had to come together with the one person he's been fighting with since Avengers 1, Tony. He's been fighting with Tony since the first Avengers movie. And to be able to say, you know, let's bring our differences together and actually team up and actually do something good together with both of our developments the way they are, I think is what was the tipping point.
I think it must be, okay, to play off of what you said. If I were to phrase it, I would say that Civil War was the foundation of it. But I think what it really would have come down to is his ability to reconcile with Tony. Mm-hmm. Because, funny story, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's relevant for this discussion. When Civil War came out, and I watched it, I was working on writing an article for the Facebook page where that was going to be was actually going to be a two-piecer. Mm-hmm. The first one was going to be Captain was right. Mm-hmm. The second one, and the one I actually really wanted to write, was Tony was right. Mm-hmm. And that's because this is before Tony literally tells him, by the way, I was right. You know, yeah, mildly fascist, but guess what wouldn't have happened? It wasn't even that. Actually, for me, there was actually this really big, cognitive dissonance with what the movie was trying to tell me about, you know, freedom and not being fascists, compared to what I was actually feeling, and that was that Tony was fighting with Captain not because he was wrong per se. I don't think Tony ever thought that Cap would ever do something that would be wrong. I don't think that's what he was getting at. And I think the reason why Tony stuck with it as long as he did was, it's not about you, Cap. It's about every Avenger that comes after you.
Right.
It has nothing to do with our personal trust. It has everything to do with the fact that we have to write the rules as if we won't be here. And I don't think that's something Cap
thought about.
I don't think that's something Cap understood until later.
Yeah. Well, because finally, once Cap saw what could happen when powers go unchecked, especially when you figure out you're not alone in the universe.
Yeah.
And not only that you're not alone in the universe, but that the universe is as huge as it is. I mean, even Tony's like, I always imagined going to space. I knew I was right about us not being alone. I just didn't imagine us being this vast and as many people as there are. So in a sense, it's like, yeah, we kind of need to know what the hell's going on and who's got powers and who doesn't, because eventually someone's going to like blindside us.
So something to think about if you were, you know, cheering on Captain Civil War.
I don't know.
I might be wrong. I mean, just like, that's just one of my thoughts about it. It's like, yeah, because no, I don't think that Cap was a fully matured individual coming out of Civil War, honestly.
Well, I think that was the point, though.
Yeah.
I definitely see that he's matured in this movie, and still, there's so many wonderful bookends for so many people, like we said before. And Tony's one of them. Like, he has almost died how many times now? He almost died in Avengers trying to...
Yeah, it's like he was looking up at Spider-Man like, oh, finally.
and
this reminds me, remember when we... Oh, gosh. I don't even remember. Maybe I did this for a short bit in Your Honor, You Should Feel Bad. I talked about... Oh, you know what? I did do an MCU warm-up during Your Honor, You Should Feel Bad, because literally no one was dying. Mm-hmm. Like, no one.
No one
was dying. It's like, oh, well, Quicksilver died. Yeah, he showed up just to prove that someone would die. He was a throwaway character.
He was the sacrificial lamb of the MCU.
Even Agent Coulson didn't die. Like, because I made a meme about that when the movie first came out. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well...
Okay, battle.
Okay, what about the battle? There is so much to take in about that battle.
I thought it was cool that we got all all our secondary characters back in there for the mix. I liked that Miss Potts got to show off some of her stuff.
Yep.
We already mentioned in the previous video me with like slight chagrin about the girl power moment, where it's like, oh yeah,
Powerpuff Girls, let's go. And I was just like, and they just all happened to be at the exact same spot at the right time. Okay.
I don't care. I don't care. It makes me happy.
I mean,
you can talk about how coincidental it would
fine.
be that all the girls would be in one spot, but...
Look, I like hamming it up as much as the next guy. I'm a very extra personality. I just want them to admit that they were hamming it up there. That's all I want.
They were hamming it up, okay?
I'm just like, oh, come on!
They were hamming it up, and you know what? I liked it, so... I don't care. I know it was specifically targeting, and I don't care. I loved it. But that's how I feel about a lot of the moments in not just the battle, but the whole movie. There's a lot of, okay, you guys are just hamming it up for the camera now. This is specifically targeted to make me laugh or, this or that. And I really didn't care. There are some moments where it's like, okay, you guys are doing this just for this particular moment. Like Captain America's ass.
We have a meme about that on the page, too. It's America's ass.
Okay,
just one other little tiny note. And I realized there was no reason they had to do it, so it's whatever. I was slightly surprised that no one else showed up, if you will. Because, like, Thanos' army is like planet killing.
Yeah.
It's as far as we can tell, the most powerful army in the entire universe.
Right.
So I was kind of surprised that no one else showed up like Captain Marvel did. Now, I understand why that might have just been impractical, but given that everyone else came back and all that, I was maybe expecting, I don't know, someone else from space to take place in this universe-saving battle.
You're talking about, like, the core. I can't remember what their name... The core from that one planet from Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah, places like that.
They had an army. They could have come, but I guess the problem is we don't really know what happened on their planets. I don't even think they knew what was happening on Earth for them to even acknowledge the fact that Earth might have needed help against Thanos, and that they were actually everyone, the whole galaxy was in great danger, not just Earth, because frankly, if Thanos would have gotten his hands on the gauntlet again, everybody would have been gone.
Yep.
Everybody. Because he was just going to remake the entire universe.
And maybe that's what, I felt a lack of other people's concern. But I mean, like, there's plenty of reasons why that would have been impractical, both in the story and from a production end, because it's like...
I was going to say, there's more than enough...
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's more than enough stuff going on, and there's even characters that we know that were secondary characters or even primary characters that didn't get screen time, like Groot.
True.
So, yeah. I mean, imagine if they would have tried to put in, like, more armies. We would have gotten less screen time.
Yeah, fair enough.
For everybody else.
Well, we covered the bulk of it. What else do we have to talk about?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything else right after the battle? Because, I mean, we do get the after the battle scene.
Well, how they wrap up the character.
Which characters? They wrap up a lot of characters.
Well, we already talked about how some of the other characters get wrapped up.
Yeah, we've already gotten Black Widow over, and
I thought it's while it's like there's part of me that was like I could have seen other ways they could have gone through and done all this. Mm-hmm. I thought that I agreed with you. I agreed with you to the extent that the way that they off Thanos the second time was thematically appropriate.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the inverse of what he dealt with when his other self succeeded.
Oh, and I wasn't even I kind of realized in the back of my head I was expecting him to be dusted, but the fact it took longer for him to be dusted than everybody else, and the fact, like, the way that they filmed it, like, he's just like sitting there like, I lost. And Josh Brolin is such a good actor that even through all that CGI, you can really feel the weight of the loss on Thanos before he very, very nicely gets dusted. It's just, I don't know, that whole scene is it almost feels like a weight being lifted off of your own chest when Thanos goes away.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, specifically like the CGI masking, because I don't think they had anything to do with it. But Andy Serkis's studio developed a demonstration video specifically for the Planet of the Apes series to show you how the CGI is layered on, and it's like you have to understand that the CGI is layered on, but every aspect of what you are doing is what you see in the end product of a good motion capture, of modern motion capture filming. So that's Brolin.
That's Brolin. That's all Brolin. Everything you see is
whatever the reviewers might have said detractingly from Infinity War. That was Brolin doing what he does.
And he is such a good actor. He really sucks me into his role. No matter if he's playing the pre war Thanos or the post-war Thanos, he's really good at playing his role. I was gonna say something else, and now I've totally forgotten it because we got onto Thanos. But go ahead. Do you have anything else to add?
Not really. I mean, I think we've covered a bunch of thematic stuff. We've talked about some qualities and bookending of characters. Well, we have to play with some speculations, I guess. So, of the characters who survived, who are we not going to see going forward?
Of the characters who have survived?
Well, let me just make it easier. As far as
Loki.
who is out of MCU movies going forward?
Loki.
Who appeared in this film. So Loki. Well, we probably shouldn't count anyone who was killed just in general. But no, well, we got to. All right, Loki's not going to show up.
I was going to say, we have to add Loki not because he was killed, but because there might be that alternate universe Loki who ran off with the Tesseract.
Who's going to be... we figured it out, Disney. That's your basis for the next movie. I kind of knew that the moment I was like, is no one going to say anything about that? Okay.
No.
So Loki's not going to show up in MCU.
Obviously they didn't.
Tony and Cap aren't going to, though. They had that. I mean, do you think there's any significance to the end reference?
I feel like it's just supposed to bookend. Otherwise, they would have had a full credit, after credit scene, unless they were referencing that maybe his daughter moves on to become like the next Iron Man.
That's also a possibility, but I actually agree with your first part. Like after we discussed it, and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to get out of it, I was thinking about it's like the whole. If anything, like it's been argued by multiple people that Iron Man opened a whole new world for superhero movies. So
right, that's the whole point. It
started with the blacksmithing, and it ends with the blacksmithing, and that's it.
Right. That's why I like it, is because we started off the MCU with Iron Man. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the MCU. Because it was his success in his movie that pushed everything forward. So, of course, it has to end with Iron Man.
Yeah.
So, I think that's
his death.
Literally, his death.
And then the blacksmithing right there at the end.
Yeah.
So, I like that interpretation. If you have another one, feel free to pop it in there or on the comments. But that's my interpretation.
It's just a beautiful bookend.
Who are we going to see? Well, Loki's not coming. Tony's not coming. Cap's not coming. Well Rogers isn't coming.
Rogers isn't coming because we are getting Cap. It's just going to be Falcon.
And that's cool.
Cap.
I'm really excited about that, actually.
I am excited about Falcon as Cap. I think a lot of people were upset it wasn't Bucky. But I'm like, you
Bucky's got too much baggage, guys.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is he was the Winter Soldier, he was an assassin, and yeah, you can say whatever you want about his time in Wakanda and how he's finally a better person.
Yeah, but other people don't see it that way.
Yeah, the world's not going to see it that way. Falcon, Sam, is the best choice for Cap in this MCU, and I think it's just wonderful. I don't think, because everyone's like, well, he doesn't have the super serum. Like, he can't be Cap? And I'm like, yeah, he can. He's a wonderful fighter. He's just
there are ways around it.
He's a different iteration of Captain America, and I think it's just wonderful that we're getting Sam as Captain America.
It also might be better that way anyway, because like in the post snap world, they might might give them an excuse to start doing like lower powered movies again, because you know how they've always had to kind of like up the ante on villains.
There's that, and I also felt that. So this is going to be my weird interpretation of the character, but for me, Cap always felt like Marvel's Batman in the sense that it's not about who is Batman. It's about the fact that anyone can be Batman. So in this case, it doesn't.
So Batman is DC Spider-Man? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not about
AKA Spider-Man.
It's not about who is Captain America, like specifically. It's that anyone can be Captain America. Because it's all about just bravery, honor, loyalty, and being strong enough to do what needs to be done. In any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's something else that might bother me going forward.
What?
What you're talking about now, and I was just thinking about, what I was going to kind of tack on there, America's going to have struggles in the future too, guys. And I was just like, I mean, in a post-snap world, you would think something would dramatically shift. Now, in fairness, we do know that there's still crime, aka Ronin, though apparently he's killed off most of the crime lords, so I don't know whether.
Oh yeah, I don't think those crime lords are coming back because they didn't fix anything about the last 5 years. So
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the villain world is supposed to look like, other than the hints what we've gotten from the trailers of the new Spider-Man movie. I don't know what we're going to expect, unless there's going to be. Probably you're onto something with the fact that there are no Infinity Stones. And I very much suspect that since they're guaranteed to keep making MCU movies, that's going to build into Galactus. Because where can you go from Thanos but to Galactus? But no, I actually don't know what that's supposed to look like as far as villains go for the most part.
Well, I could also argue that without half the world's population, anyone could have gotten a hold of alien technology by this point, kind of like...
Oh, God, so it's just going to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, I was going to say kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming, where they saw, all those illegal alien technology. At this point, who knows who's gotten themselves into like alien technology, even in other worlds, like where I'm not even just considering Earth, like in other worlds, who knows what kind of crazy stuff people have gotten themselves into, who have now turned into villains because of the snap.
And that could expand opportunities for people who are already spaceborne. Which, speaking of which, here's an easier way to do this since we got off track. Let's count up who's dead and who we know for sure is going forward into a movie right now. We know Tony is gone. Loki is gone.
Rogers
is gone. Black Widow is gone.
Black Widow.
We are almost certainly not getting Hawkeye back after this.
No, I think Hawkeye is...
Because he was already gone.
Oh, yeah, no. And I think he's just going to retire now that he's gotten his family back and move away from the Ronin persona. I don't think... Because it sounds like it's just something that he was trying to do to get over the tragic loss of his family.
Yeah.
And now that he's got his family back, he doesn't have that motivation anymore to go fight anybody or anything.
People we know who are going into a movie. Spider-Man. Nick
clearly.
Fury.
Fury? Yeah, Fury. He is back.
All of the Guardians.
Well, yeah, except we still don't know where they're all going to be because of Gamora and Nebula, but all of the Guardians.
We know all the regular Guardians are going to be in the movie, and probably with Thor.
Well, no,
they might pull him for all I know because he might cost too much at this point. I don't know.
I doubt it.
At this point, with Robert Downey Jr. out, he's probably going to be the most highly paid actor in the MCU.
Well, yeah, because, like, I forget, how much did they get paid for this movie? I think it was, like, $2 million or something like that.
And yeah, Gamora and Nebula, we can probably foresee showing up. Obviously, Captain Marvel, she's probably going to be headliner at this point.
At some point,
Assuming she's not, well, now the universe is more or less fixed, so she might...
Well, there's still, I mean, she could, for all we know, she could be the one that warns everybody about Galactus.
Yeah.
So, because she would know if there's, like, a planet-eating monster around, so she would have to be the one to warn everybody about Galactus.
We also know from teasers, because this is, like, one of the few teasers that hasn't been resolved at this point, that, what's his name? Adam Warlock is expected to make an appearance at some point.
I would hope so, because, I mean, they teased them and they still haven't done anything with that.
Oh, well, that's true. They also teased that one villain in The Incredible Hulk that never materialized. But that's because The Incredible Hulk wasn't that great.
That being said...
You know, they never did tell us what happened to Abomination. Man, it's like they just forgot the movie happened, which is fine.
I think they're trying to forget that it happened.
But is it worse than Thor: The Dark World?
Yes.
I don't know.
Professor Hulk, I think, is going to show up.
Do you?
Yeah, I think Professor Hulk.
I think he might be a supporting role. I don't think he'll. I don't think they're ever going to try another Hulk headliner.
Really? You don't think even with Professor Hulk?
No.
I would love a Professor Hulk movie.
What's it going to be? Professor Hulk movie. It's just called Professor Hulk. What's it going to be about?
I mean, he has his own comic series, so I assume they'll pull a villain from there.
Oh! Actually, no. You should, because then he can also moonlight as a bouncer at the bar, like in that one Hulk series. We can introduce She-Hulk.
Ooh, what if She-Hulk came into the MCU? I would love that. Okay, we're
gotta
getting
go
off
somewhere.
track. We're getting off track. Who else would be going into a movie?
Well, yeah, we're still sorting through them. Do you think Bucky has any future, or is he done?
I think if he shows up, he's going to be a supporting one to Sam.
Okay.
I think he would be supporting the new Captain America going forward. Because he seemed he's the one that told Sam to go to Captain America. So he seems like he's attached himself very, very well to
Yeah, Cap, you didn't think about how Bucky would feel, did you?
I think Bucky's okay with it. I think he's happy that,
Bucky
Rogers
loved you.
I think he just wanted Rogers to live his life. And
Now Bucky has to live all alone.
Bucky has Sam.
He doesn't have Rocket anymore. He's alone. Sam's gonna go be Captain America. And Bucky has to live alone. Because Rocket's gone.
Rocket went back to his family.
Oh, I hope he took the arm. I hope he took Winter Soldier's arm.
I mean...
I'm gonna need that guy's arm.
Jesus Christ. No, I hope Rocket didn't take his arm. That wouldn't go over great. So, Doctor Strange. I think we're gonna get another Doctor Strange.
That seems... I think that almost certainly... I suspect he'll be showing up in... what is it? God, I can't remember all these these hidden superheroes. Shen Li? I think he'll show up in that.
I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that.
It seems like they're always trying to bring in a mainstream character along with the headliner. So I'm pretty sure that that's where we'll find him.
Right.
But I expect that a standalone would be actually expected at this point, especially if you're right about how the future of the universe has to progress. Mm-hmm. He's going to be exceptionally important because there's no more stones, including the Time Stone. So the wizards have to do things now. Not just sit in their mansion eating ramen or whatever. Listening to Beyonce.
Which, no, I just realized the Ancient One foresaw all these catastrophes and saved the world countless of times over only because she had the Time Stone.
Yeah.
So, how's Doctor Strange going to do it?
With his cape.
With his cape.
He did have his cape on, right?
Yeah.
That's something else I was thinking about because I realized that the cape, I thought, got destroyed.
The cape, I think, got dusted with him.
But it's not a living creature. Did it? I have to go back and look now. I have no idea.
Well, that's what I've been saying, is I feel you have to keep rewatching Endgame and possibly at this point Infinity War just to get everything, because this is such a jam-packed movie. Filled with everything.
I'm going to rewatch Infinity War anyway, because I still think Infinity War is better. But that's just me.
Well, maybe at this point we should announce that we're going to do that ranked Marvel. We're going to watch, I'm going to rewatch, I don't know about you, I'm going to rewatch all the Marvel movies. And we're actually going to do our official ranking so far of Phase 3, because technically we still have one movie to go for.
I mean, by the time we get done with it, that one might be out. So, in fact, maybe that's what we should do. And we won't even do a separate video about Spider-Man per se. That we can just wait, then do that, and just fit in the Spider-Man Far From Home wherever it lands. Because that's still part of Phase 3.
It is still part of Phase 3. I just wonder what they're going...
It has to be a setup for whatever the future of the canon is. Yeah. That's what it has to be. And I mean, I don't remember who the people are in it other than Spider-Man, honestly.
Mysterio?
Okay, Mysterio.
Mysterio's the villain.
I don't know anything about his background.
So I've read a lot of Spider-Man comics, but like Mysterio's like I know this is gonna sound weird for somebody who's read a lot of comics. He's one of the characters I haven't ran across my readings yet. So I know very little other than what Streak has told me. But the only thing I know is what his costume is supposed to look like from the comics, and I'm just glad they're not going with that costume because it looks ridiculous.
That's true with a lot of superhero costumes on
Hawkeye.
display.
Hawkeye's original costume.
I wonder if that's the reason. I just remember someone mentioned that in a video we were watching. Like, yeah, they never actually call him Hawkeye.
No, they don't.
I wonder if there's a reason for that.
Oh.
Which is actually something I just never really paid attention to. But yeah, they never actually call him that.
Hawkeye. No, they don't. But I think there is a reason for that. If you ever seen his costume from the comics, it's just no. All sorts of no. Besides, he never got his own headline movie either, so that's probably another reason why. Oh, Black Panther is probably going to get another movie.
What would it be about? Like, I'm not challenging the titanic force of Black Panther's accomplishment. It's just like,
I don't know.
It was a Wakandan Civil War. All right, so I don't know what a Black Panther standalone movie would be about, because it's like, I mean, are there other like arch nemeses to Black Panther that I'm just not familiar with?
I want to say yes, because there's always other arch enemies of other enemies that we of heroes that we haven't seen yet. But I haven't actually read too many comics with Black Panther in it, so I can't like tell you this character. No, if somebody else knows, I'm sure they would be happy to write it in the comments for us.
I kind of expected, well, I don't know. I could see Black Panther going off on his own, in the sense that I think Captain Marvel might be operating on her own in a future movie. Mm-hmm. But I could also see them deciding not to do that just because of he's still, like other characters, bound to the physical realm, so to speak. Captain Marvel has the advantage of basically being able to go anywhere independently without anyone. Doctor Strange can warp through dimensions.
Yep.
So those two I definitely expect to have standalone movies. If anything, I was slightly surprised that they decided to follow up everything with a Spider-Man movie, other than just like, we were so distraught over Spider-Man, we need to have a Spider-Man movie, because Spider-Man movies are fun!
To be fair, though, I was very distraught over Spider-Man.
Spider-Man movies are fun!
I actually do like how they ended up bookending him, too, for this movie, where it's like, he's the one who tells Tony, I don't feel so good, and then once Tony's, like, passing away, he's the one who tells him that that everything's okay and we won. So, oh, God, that scene makes me cry.
Are we going to see Valkyrie again? I don't think we will.
I don't think we will, just because it sounds like they've put her as Queen of Asgard now. So, unless we get some kind of interesting Asgardian movie, I don't think we're going to see Valkyrie again. Which really, really depresses me, because I really like her as a character so much. I really like her character, and I want to see her headline her own movie, but I don't think we're going to see that. Now, the other thing I was actually really upset about is that we didn't get any of the Netflix characters show up in this. But, I mean, I know why. It's just...
Well, we technically did. Well, no, I guess not a Netflix character. But, I mean, like, Jarvis appears.
Jarvis wasn't in Netflix. Jarvis was a...
No, Jarvis... Oh, well, I don't know if the Peggy Carter series was on Netflix, actually.
It wasn't. It wasn't on Netflix.
Okay, then my bad.
And anyways, like Jarvis has.
Well, now none of them will show up because there isn't a Netflix MCU. Well, there isn't a Marvel Netflix anymore because Disney Plus is going to be a thing.
I know. I just really would have liked to see. Like, you can't tell me Luke Cage. At least Luke Cage isn't worth something. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, like, they're basically both, you know, super strong and bulletproof and.
Too bad they were just finding their steps again when they were like, haha, Thanos, snap.
Goodbye.
Yeah, except it wasn't half the Netflix.
Which is
it
actually
was all of them.
Well, it was half, and then it was all of them. Which is actually a really funny coincidence because, like, when Thanos was a thing, and then it was like the meme, and then it was like, yeah, here's Disney buying Fox. Goodbye, Netflix. You know, I'll tell you, on a completely unrelated tangent, I'm surprised Disney just didn't buy Netflix, honestly. Like, yeah, Disney Plus is totally a thing. Netflix is ours now.
Well,
I almost feel like that's inevitable.
Netflix is inevitable.
You heard it here first. 20 years from now, when Disney buys Netflix, you heard it here first.
Okay.
That was good. Netflix is inevitable.
We should actually make that a meme. That being said, do you think those characters have any future?
The
Netflix characters that got canned.
Well,
I mean,
Netflix...
not on the MCU clearly, because if they were going to show up, they were going to show up in Endgame. And
I don't know all the nitty gritty of every production's business arrangement with Netflix. However, if my outsider understanding it works as well as it does, once the agreement with Disney expires, presumably Netflix doesn't hold sway over the rights to those series in the first place.
Right.
So they don't make them directly. They fund them as production end. So if Disney wanted to, I'm sure that they could pick them up.
Right.
And if they were going to pick anything up, you might see something like Jessica Jones or Luke Cage out of the contenders that were the strongest, as far as I can tell. I wasn't a big viewer of them, but like those seemed like the shows that had the most potential to going forward.
I actually think it was more like Luke Cage and this is going to sound weird, but Iron Fist, because they left that off with giving off the spoilers for Iron Fist, which I wasn't expecting the spoil here, but they gave Iron Fist off to the main female character. It's no longer Danny Rand has Iron Fist. It's the main female character. So
maybe they'll just continue it as the Defenders.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Which actually would be interesting in a post-Snap world, given the other thing we talked about. Because Captain America's not super serum.
Yeah.
So Captain America and the Defenders could totally be a thing.
Ooh, I would love that. I feel like we went a little off rails here.
A little bit.
That was my fault because I brought up Netflix.
Actually, you know what? I'd go so far as to say I don't know if Captain America, the new Captain America, will immediately re-enter MCU. Because what if they do want to just take him out and put him into the series scene?
Well, from what I understand, all the stuff that they're doing on Disney Plus is technically going to be linked to the MCU.
With the exception of the alternate universe.
Well, I mean, I assume it's alternate universe MCU, but it's still the MCU. And
it's not the MCU if it's an alternate universe. That's the MCU.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they did take them to the Defenders and then bring them back for a big movie. That would actually be really cool, you know.
Even if it's a Disney Plus exclusive movie.
Well, yeah, even if it's a Disney Plus exclusive movie, which I hope it's not. I hope it's the silver screen. But, if even if it is one big movie on Disney Plus, I'd still watch it.
If even half of what Disney expects to get out of Disney Plus is true, Disney is seriously looking at a future where theaters don't exist.
I know Streak had one other prediction. Streak's prediction is that we're gonna find out ever since Disney does kind of own some of Fox's properties now.
Yeah, the majority.
May have the rights back to mutants. He's wondering if we're gonna find out that Wanda's father is Magneto and that their inhuman abilities was mutant all along.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would make sense, though I don't think there's any way to rectify the continuities as they currently stand in the movie form.
Well, that's what he said. It was to rectify the current movies and make it so that she was mutant all along.
Oh, I mean, that would explain that. But I'm saying, like, clearly other things have been happening in that mutant world.
Oh, I think they're gonna reboot it.
Well, they would have to.
If they bring it into the MCU, they have to reboot it because Fox has made a complete mess of things. That's the word I was gonna use the whole time. The mess of things.
And I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if I mean, like, part of me likes stuff that... Wow, talk about tangents. Part of me likes stuff that Fox has done with X-Men stuff. And to the extent that I'm glad that it's a separate universe, because I think, like, combining the mutant continuities with everything else that's going on in MCU would have been way too complicated. And not rewarding.
No, well... for several reasons. For me, I don't like most of what Fox has done with the mutant world. So
I liked original X-Men.
The only thing I think I really liked was Deadpool and Deadpool 2.
I like Deadpool.
I don't like the original X-Men. I think Days of Future Past.
That was pretty. I thought it was all right.
It was okay, but other than that, I'm not fond of like anything.
Streak doesn't like any of the X-Men movies. I'm surprised that he cares about Deadpool.
Days of Future Past.
He complained about that for like an hour the first time he watched it. It's like, minute, Kitty Pryde.
Well, okay, but that's because his favorite character was Psylocke and Kitty Pryde. So, when he saw what they did to Psylocke in Apocalypse, yeah, not good.
Yeah, Apocalypse was not good. I wanted Apocalypse to be good, and it was not.
And I don't want to see them ruin the Dark Phoenix saga for a second time on screen, so I'm good for the Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix has the potential to be acceptable. I just don't like. I honestly just don't understand how they keep getting enough money to make the movies, because it's like some of the entries are just so bland.
And Jennifer Lawrence has been wanting out this entire time.
She wants out so bad. I think she's gonna die.
She does. They have already confirmed it.
Yeah, she dies.
No. You know how like we make fun of Transformers? Does Optimus die?
Does Prime die? Transformers the movie.
I bet you right now. I'm calling you right now that
that's the mortal shot.
That's the mortal shot that kills her.
That joke just came up recently in a completely other context too, and it's like I've always been pointing to this. It's like, yeah, this is the point where movie studios decided, yeah, we can just kill them in the trailer. Doesn't matter. No one cares. All right. Well, I think I can't think of anything else.
I was gonna say there's only one other thing that bringing up Scarlet Witch. I actually like that we see her full potential. Well, maybe not her full potential, but we do see a bigger potential in her powers in this movie than we've ever seen it.
Oh!
We actually see her use her powers to a greater extent.
Yeah.
Because, believe it or not, in the comics, Scarlet Witch is really powerful. Like, what we saw in the movie is just not even her full powers. And
she gets pushed around a lot, too.
She does. And for this being one of the movies where she's like, I've lost everything, and she just lets go, beautiful. Love it.
And that was the thing I forgot to mention because we got off on the tangent. Suspicion is that Vision could be rebuilt now that Black Panther's sister Shuri is back. And, she's the tech genius on par with Tony Stark. And now that Stark's dead, it's like, yep, we'll use her.
I wonder where his body even is.
Presumably still in Wakanda. The majority of it's there.
True.
It was just the part that's just like
the Soul Stone. So maybe he will be rebuilt.
We knew that theoretically he could survive without the stone once they did the thing. So it's like, well, if they do the thing and then maybe Scarlet Witch, whose power is so approximate to the Infinity Stone in character, might be able to fake movie medicine him back to life.
You mean how Thor gave Tony that shot?
That was good. I like that.
I don't know if this is gonna work.
It worked. Though, funny fact though, I think that's the first time I've actually watched a movie where that's technically exactly how that machine works. It doesn't help you if the heart stopped. It helps when it goes erratic. It regulates it.
Yep.
So, in fairness to MCU, I think you are technically the first movie
To do that
I've ever
right.
seen that does that accurately.
Yep.
I think that's a good place to end on. What do you think?
I think so too.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was your spoiler analysis / expectation / I still liked Infinity War better
Tangent.
video. And we'll be back on Monday for Last Week in Geek. And we got a special sketch in store for you on Wednesday. So stick around. Signing off from Manly Battleships. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.